As we're gradually moving back to opening schools and businesses and, of course, our in-person interactions, I want to remind you, this is all time with cold and flu season getting going. Staying hydrated is key to helping your body deal with the added stress and with the upcoming flu season. My regular fans have heard me talk about a product called Hydralyte for a long time now. It's an amazing rapid rehydration drink. It's a mix that, well, we're obsessed with here. My wife uses it all the time. I've been behind it for a long time. I wanted to develop it myself. They came out with it first. I'm excited to announce they've just released Hydralyte Plus Immunity, just in time for cold and flu season. Hydralyte Plus Immunity starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of immune-boosting ingredients. Each single-serve, easy-pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 300 milligrams of elderberry extract, creates what is hopefully immune-boosting formula that's high in antioxidants and zinc. Combining this with Hydralyte's 7 key electrolytes, it's a fantastic way to stay proactive and properly hydrated. Hydralyte Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy-to-pour powder sticks that rapidly dissolve in water and make a great tasting drink that has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors, and it is gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and it is vegan. And you can find Hydralyte Plus by visiting hydralyte.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that's hydralyte.com/DRDRW. And be sure to use our code Dr. Drew 25 at checkout for a special discount. Here we go.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Here we are. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, there, Mom Ladybug. We are in quarantine. I have to do a thing, Teen Mom reunion for MTV on Thursday, and I'm running nose right now because I just went outside for a second, where it's cold. Yes, the vessel's behind me, George. That's true. People are identifying the vessel, which we are quite near right now. We are quite near it. So Susan liked that background. Hey, Matt, we're quarantined. We're quarantined until Thursday, and then I've got to do that Teen Mom reunion. And I got a bunch of thoughts today. I got a lot on my mind, and I'm curious what you guys are thinking. Somebody on my locals page asked, again, dr.locals.com, asked whether or not the state government was addressing mental health, which they have not. They've never talked about anything except the COVID epidemic and the wayward behavior of the citizens of California, how they have to comply with the will of the government. It's a very strange rhetoric. They couch it in, this is out of love that we're doing this, which reminds me of what abusive parents do. It's very much the same thing. So, yeah, it's been a challenging time, and they let me give you a little bit of data on the mental health side. Here's some data that Alex Berenson tweeted out yesterday. Opioid overdose deaths to 2020 compared to 2019, up 95% in Syracuse, 70% in Oregon, 50% in Kentucky, 25% in Maine, 50% nationally overall. Let's see, nationally a 50% rise would be 35,000 additional deaths, which we're well on course to make. In San Francisco alone, we get 4 times the overdose of all overdose deaths, 4 times overdose deaths relative to COVID deaths, 4 times. And yet the entire state is shut down over COVID, and essentially zero attention being directed at the people dying of drug addiction. It really is too much. It's too much. I can't get my head around it. Sherry, when I go to New York City, no, it's actually a lot better now in New York than it was. I was here about 6 weeks ago, and it's much, much, much better. It's sort of, people are like coming back to life a little bit. It feels like New York. It didn't feel like New York last time. Now I've not been to any, because I'm on quarantine, I haven't been out in any really crowded areas, but we've seen it. Yeah, it's quiet at night because there are no bars and restaurants are closed early, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's Casual Sunday, everybody. So, welcome.
So you had that question on
Nurse show up. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Want to read some of those questions?
I'm watching Joe Rogan Experience Kanye West.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay.
Guys, can you give us your opinion on Kanye's?
All right. So people wanted me to comment on Kanye's mental health issues. Kanye is perfectly compensated. There was nothing going on with Kanye other than a very creative, sort of successful person. Now, here's what you got to understand about people like that. They're typically, often, hypomanic. Now, hypomania is not necessarily a pathology if it doesn't flip into mania and doesn't affect functioning, especially interpersonal functioning. Now, you've seen some of his hypomanic stuff has affected some of his interpersonal functioning. His family's been upset, worried about him. But very simple, with a simple medication like lithium or Depakote or something, just a mild amount can keep him from flipping, and that you can adjust it in such a way that he could still have a certain amount of that excessive energy that everyone's reacting to without, and at the same time putting a lid on it so he can't flip into mania, which is a much more dangerous state. So yeah, I think he was perfectly fine. I think he is like many, many, many very successful people. They're almost always like that, and it's fine. I mean, Elon Musk is like that, right? A lot of people are like that. Now, you may be because Kanye is sort of from the arts, it may feel kind of uncomfortable as opposed to a hyper functioning engineer or a businessman or a computer analyst or politician. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Jessica, there can be lithium weight gain, but again, you take a little bit, then it's not so much. And Dawn, you want to know where the thing is behind me? It's in New York City at the Hudson Yards. Josette felt he seemed to lack charisma. That's a surprising. And Josette, I think you're the locals participant who was word changed by my phone to Joseph. I know you're not Joseph. I saw Josette. And something weird happened to my app, and I tried to go back in to change it. It wouldn't let me do it. Sorry about that. Yes, hypomania can be very thrilling. You feel good when you're in it. But as long as it's not affecting your functioning, you're not slipping into some higher state, that's fine. Ask a Gin 303. What doesn't have to be awkward about? It is about, it's essentially about, being 14 today. There's a lot of crazy stuff that are difficult I don't know, we're trying to put together something that I would have wanted when I was 14, my daughter would have wanted when she was 14, and response to what we're hearing, what's going on out there. We put together a little construct that's kind of cool, that you can apply to situations to kind of use as a mechanism to see if you're kind of heading in the right direction. And we talk about everything in the book, everything.
What's it called?
It doesn't have to be awkward. Rogan saying he shouldn't have taken the meds in the hospital and the exercise would help. Kanye made me cringe, Leslie says. Yeah, whenever you have non-medical people telling people not to follow the direction of their physician, that's one thing to say, hey, go back to them and say, do you really need this stuff? But you don't know what was going on when they were being medicated. And you have no capacity the patient doesn't know because they have something called anosognosia, which is the lack of insight to what's happening. That's the nature of serious mental illness. Okay. Having problems with mother having dementia and not wearing a mask, Barb F says. Did I see Dr. Fauci's announcement of recommending universal mask wearing? Aren't we there? Aren't we sort of already there at universal mask wearing? Isn't that sort of the sort of default mode we're in? I thought SNL did a very good skit last night where they were talking about a couple of the cast was seeing a psychic, and she was saying, you will do the most horrible thing in April of 2020. Everyone in your life will be condemning you. You will eat in a restaurant indoors. I thought that was very funny. And yeah, believe me, no, I'm not a little sick, Lindsay. I went outside where it's cold and the wind blew and got my nose filled up. Betty, CT. Kanye is formally diagnosed with bipolar disorder, right? He's bipolar 1, so he's had manic episodes, which is why he takes medication. But that doesn't mean he can't be allowed to be a little hypomanic once in a while, or he might mess with his medicines a little bit and end up that way. I'm going to meet with Fauci, but I suggested a national mask mandate. Oh, he wants a national mask mandate. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Why not? I mean, we're heading into the winter. We're heading into, well, this is what I want to talk about. We're heading into this weird time with the epidemic and hard to kind of understand. So I watch very carefully the stuff in Los Angeles and Southern California. That's where I normally live. And all of a sudden, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, really, there was a massive uptick in cases in LA County, so much so that it significantly altered the California data, which was flat for weeks. All of a sudden, it spiked up as well by 2,000 cases, which is what was all the Los Angeles cases. Now, if you look at the national data, we've gone up to about 80,000 cases, which is not good. And we've done it in a rather short period of time. What's up, Susan? You have something? Oh, in a rather short period of time, the low was 44,000. Like the worry was that we were not very low and you were going to go on another climb. Going from 40,000 to climbing could get to a nasty place. But the hospitalization rate has gone up only from 30 to 40, so it's gone up 30%. The death rate has gone up. It really hasn't gone up. It's gone about, it seems to have almost gone down. So again, that's a lagging indicator, so hard to know exactly where that's going. But when you look at the full range, it's kind of interesting because it looks like we're going to go up to like 120,000 per day or something overall. I mean, if the numbers are telling us correctly, it does not look like the hospitalization rate is going to go up that high, and it does not look like the death rate is going to change. So that's what's sort of interesting about this. So we're still in what's called a case-demic. And one of the interesting things about the climb in the hospitalization, that may be people being encouraged to come in the hospital to receive some of the newer protocols, when in the past we were pushing people away from the hospital. So it's sort of interesting. We're heading into a bit. The other thing I want to talk about is somebody picked up on yesterday or day before yesterday when we did this stream, that they picked up that I was saying, "Oh, I'm unsure of things. It feels like I'm not certain where we're going here," and it made people anxious. I didn't think about it at the time, but I saw some of your responses. And first of all, good on you for picking up that I was getting a little anxious. Also, that when I can't tell you where it's going, it doesn't mean that we should be panicked. Okay, so here's the way I want you to kind of look at this. I can look. Are my glasses off? I'm not quite sure what that question was all about. So yeah, Robert, the cases are spiking, right? And so here's the way you've got to think about it. Is that we've been through this before, right? Think about back in the summer. Was that an insurmountable problem? Did we all get through that okay? We did. We got through it. Everyone adjusted their behavior. People did what they're supposed to do, and we can do that again. Now, it's awful when cases spike because people die. It's inevitable with an illness like this. And, if I could magically wave a wand and have the cases not spike, of course I would do that. But the fact is, it is spiking. There will be an increase in hospitalization. There will hopefully not be a significant increase in the death rate, and we will still be in the throes of a case-demic, not so much the pandemic that's associated with an excess death rate. We'll see, though. We'll see. It really depends how good our treatments are and how available the resources are.
That's the locals question.
Okay. And kind of look.
People where it is.
Okay, I'm sort of deep in a conversation that I really want to finish, though. It's why I wanted to go on today, if you don't mind. So, because this is a really important point, because people picked up on how anxious I made people anxious, and that is the opposite of what I want to do. I want to make people feel reassured and think in terms of how we were able to get through this before, and that we will get through this again, and that not only will we get through it this time, but that there will be less consequence. Not no consequence. Unfortunately, that's the way this illness is, but a lot less consequence. There may be a lot of hospitalizations, but that is being encouraged because we have a lot of good treatments. So let's hope. The next week will tell if I'm right. So, all right. Here is a question. Disneyland is closed. I'm heartbroken. I'm on the Zinco prophylactic protocol. One of you is taking hydroxychloroquine and zinc. The other is quercetin in zinc. You use masks, etc. Considering taking a trip to Disney World, is it a good idea? not asking for a permission slip, just to weigh the risks and understand likely scenarios. So I think your question, though, is we already have a good idea of what to expect in Florida and with air travel,
No kids.
but what might we expect if we catch COVID-19? No kids
Yeah. They're just going.
by themselves, a couple. And they are 41 and 51 and 49.
Thank you for the locals question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So you're not
Explain that.
you're not in a risk category per se. Yeah, you can go to dr.locals.com, and we're much more likely to. I have much more time to look at and answer the questions there, and we're going to do some chats and things. And
Join.
yeah, join us there. dr.locals.com. Um, Yeah, David XTC, I'm still trying to get people not to panic about it. That's what I was trying to do then, and I'm trying to do it now. Because the panic is creating a spike in death from suicide and substance use that is rivaling the death rate from COVID. It's exactly what I was concerned about. And you add on that the fear people have in coming to the medical system. They're delaying their screening, they're delaying their treatments, and we're seeing a marked, sharp increase in deaths from common medical conditions too. It is wrong. It's wrong to panic in the face of this because it has horrible consequence that just doubles the COVID consequences. Okay. So as I was saying, the idea is not to panic. And no, I'm a little congested because I was out in the cold a few minutes ago. It should clear pretty soon. Why are you making anxious? I feel more clarified and more safe. I think people think I'm a white ring or something. Yeah, Lindsay, I'm not picking sides. I'm just trying to stay with what's true and what seems to be evidence-based. And again, I'm as fearful of the panic. I'm maybe a little more fearful of the panic than I am of the COVID itself. So back to my Disneyland friends, you're 49 to 51. Your probability of surviving COVID is 99%. So your risk of serious complication is remote. In Florida, obviously the healthcare system is as excellent as anywhere else in the United States. You don't have to worry about traveling and magically you're going to have trouble accessing healthcare or something. That's not the case. Now, you might want to bring an oxygen monitor, O2 monitor, and you might want to bring a thermometer. And you're already on hydroxychloroquine, and you might want to make sure you map out exactly where you're going to go if you get sick. And the probability is they'll just tell you to stay home and watch your O2 saturation. And the vast majority of people do not get hospitalized in your age group. So, okay. Heath Lopez wants to know, Lanai is going back into lockdown. Really? Geesh. Why don't they follow the World Health Organization recommendations? The WHO is very clear. Lockdowns don't work. They hurt people. And again, most of the lockdowns that are done in other countries are sort of like you can't go to bars. Things we're already doing automatically here. You can't go to bars. You can't visit friends after 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night or something. They want you sort of moving around as little as possible at night. It's pretty crazy. I don't know the false positive rate, Colin Robinson, although I just saw a really interesting chat with Colin Robinson. Is it reasonable for people to be banned from being with dying loved ones? Is that tiger stripes? Is that reasonable? It's reasonable, but I'm wondering, I don't know how you can fight it off unless you can somehow buy your own personal protective gear or something, or convince the hospital that you'd sign a waiver of risk. Any new insights on ARBs visa COVID? ARBs are not, it is still safe. ARBs and ACE inhibitors are still safe. Yeah, Holly just says when schools are closed again, it's really bad. The school closure, we really don't know yet fully the full implications of what it's going to do to young people. There are grave concerns about that. Yeah. Okay. Andrew, where's that? Andrew Ashkazvili. Okay. Let me see. Last week, ending October 17th, we did 7.3 million tests to find 384,000 cases. Week of April 18th, we did only 1 million tests for 200,000 cases. I don't know what to do with that, Andrew. What's your implication? We do a lot of tests.
Less cases.
7 million for 384,000. 1 million for 200,000. That sounds like it's going up to me.
No, because it would be 14. It would be 1.4 million if it was the same ratio, 1 million for 200.
I see.
So 7.3 to 3 to 4 is less.
I see. I'm sorry, April. I flipped the dates. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. So we're doing the percent positive rate is going down, which is a good sign.
Okay.
Although it's very hard for me to read this. Although it has gone up, and that's if you listen to Dr. Fauci a couple of days ago, he was saying that's a sign that we are gonna end up in some trouble here with the increase in cases. Okay. Well, I have one of two choices. I zoom in, I miss everything, or I zoom out and I have trouble reading it. So I zoomed out.
Well, it's just crazy. I think a lot of people are getting tested like us.
Yeah, we're getting tested every
For no
other.
reason.
Yeah, we're getting tested every other day.
Like for no reason.
Ontario, Canada hit an all-time high. Yeah, I mean the virus is going to do what the virus is going to do. I mean it's not that surprising. It's not as though it's shocking that it's sprung back. The issue is how freaked out should we be, and what should we be changing in the face of that? Again, my recommendation would be that we navigate it. Navigating now all of the increase. Look in Los Angeles, by the way, as I think about what might have happened to cause that increase of, from 700 cases to 2,700 cases in a day, went like that. Well, guess what? We had a huge demonstration of Armenians, protesting the Azerbaijani battle. Tens of thousands of Armenians. Now, I'd love to know if in Los Angeles, somebody can find out for me if the cases, that those 2,000 cases were in Glendale and Pasadena, because we have large Armenian populations. So it'd be very interesting to know if that's the case. Also, we had the Lakers win, and there were thousands of people out on the street on that. So once again, if that's true, we should see that this increase is related to people being outdoors in the streets, not wearing masks, not social distancing. Yeah, Mop Bucket says Lakers won, people were out in the streets.
A question you answered to Joseph, but it's really Josetta.
Yeah, well, I talked to Josette already.
Oh, you talked about it? Okay.
Yeah,
About her long question on.
I think I did. Josette, did I adequately answer the thing? I apologize for Joseph, which my yeah. Swedish generally social distance anyway. That's interesting. That's why. Okay. Disneyland cast member, very well controlled diabetes. Primary doctor said I should be okay with A1C of 6.2, which is very good. Seasonal asthma, well controlled. Yeah, that does not put you, unless you're obese, that does not put you in any meaningful risk category except the asthma, which they've added to the list recently. Most of the Armenians were wearing masks, if not all of them. And I know it was a peaceful protest, but it was a big one. That's interesting about the masks. However, we now know, well, in the CDC guidelines, they're not saying mask or not. They're saying 15 minutes of proximity with somebody indoor or out with the virus is enough to transmit it. Now, they did not specify whether it was with mask or without, as far as I know. No, Russ, I'm not going to check in on RPC, although I did ask about him. There's a big difference between Lakers people celebrating with no mask and Armenians peacefully, most of them wearing masks. Yeah, maybe. Okay, conservatorship question. Once a person's under conservatorship, it's almost impossible to have it lifted. Terrible thing, especially here in California. I don't believe that's true. To get a conservatorship is almost impossible. That's for sure. And people that are on conservatorships really need them. I mean, really need them. So I'm not quite sure what you're saying. And I've seen people come off them if they show 6 months, a year of stability. I mean, it's possible to get off. I think I haven't heard the outcome of the Britney Spears thing, but I think she's going to get off her conservatorship, at least most of it. Yes, it's live, Kara. It is live.
Somebody gave us on local, gave us the test results for New York region
There was a massive women's demonstration, Andrew points out,
yesterday.
in Washington, D.C. as well. And so so what would
New
Manhattan
York
be?
City.
New York City? Total persons tested. Wow.
47,653. We were two of those people, by the way.
Yeah. So New York City test almost 50,000, only 600 turned up
So
positive.
that's probably for work mostly, right? People, unless they have
Unless they have symptoms, they.
Well,
But that's
I don't think anybody has.
that is still 1% is generally the positivity rate in the state of New York.
Well, like Cat has
That's
to
interesting.
get tested every week. Everybody has to
Right.
get tested once a
Right.
week
That's
for work.
Christopher, I asked Dr. Oz if we could get something together while I'm out here. We're having trouble organizing it. Psoriatic arthritis, not on immune suppressants. I know. Does the inflammatory condition put me at higher risk? No, it does not. The immune suppressants might, but the
Nobody's got COVID in New York.
the psoriasis does not, nor the psoriatic arthritis. Thank you, Frolantois. Yeah, as I've said many times over the last few months, I feel like I'm in the French underground, just sort of trying to put out solid information and keep people unified, because the disinformation and the panic porn that's out there it's crazy. Uh-uh. All right.
Why are we in quarantine?
I know, us being in quarantine is stupid as well.
653 people have it in New York City.
I know.
50,000 tests.
Right. I know.
Why are we spending all this money on this?
Let me see. I've helped your anxiety. I love that. I've noticed most people have died in hospital. Isn't that worrying? Especially that we could give hydroxychloroquine. Well, once you go into the hospital, if you're above a certain age, you essentially represent a different group now, right? You're in a group that is getting worse, not resolving from the flu piece. So there's the flu piece, then there's the inflammatory piece, the cytokine storm. Somebody's saying I called for, I can't read your name, reopening Disney World. Disney World's already open. I was lobbying for opening Disneyland to save 100,000 jobs. And they do it safely as recommended by the other countries where Disneyland has opened everywhere with no cases. Now, wherever these flares are coming from, I would argue the right thing for us to do immediately would be to lock down wherever they see flares. That's what New York City did, and it worked. They started looking at specific boroughs, they locked them down, and that was that. Everything went fine. And they were better in a very, very short period of time. Not everybody, having to lock down. That makes no sense. But we'll see. Long-term effects of COVID. I've had some other viruses like mono that affected for several years. Yeah, that's Max K. Yeah, there's a possibility of getting, neurological symptoms or maybe as high as 25% in this case. And then, the original Spanish flu back in 1918, the famous Dr. Menninger felt that it was a major cause of mental illness because they were seeing depressions and schizophrenia, psychotic type symptoms following. Yeah, that FODMAP diet, Carla, is very, very good. Flora May wants us all to come to Florida. California canceled Halloween, but my community is still doing it. Good for you. Again, with proper distancing and stuff. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. What's that? What, blow my nose? Oh, I just from being in the wind and the cold, right? It's getting better. It's getting better. Andrew, wonder what we could do with flu deaths if we tested like we did COVID for the flu. Andrew, people have asked that question. In other words, if we did the same kind of rigorous testing for influenza that we've been doing with COVID, what would our flu deaths look like? No one knows the answer to that. It's the easy thing to say. It's about all I can say. Been any infections at other amusement parks? Apparently not for Tiger Stripes. What I've been hearing is that the amusement parks that have opened safely, properly, have had 0 cases that reflect back to them. And, Anthony C's asking about, yes, I take 1 gram of vitamin C already. You can see my boogers now. Thank you. I hope not. Advice on psoriasis outbreaks, diet meds. The vape is, there's lots of good meds for psoriasis now. I mean, both topically and otherwise. So you just need to see a dermatologist and do what they tell you. They will step you through a whole protocol where it will get under control. Also, UV light. People don't do enough sunlight with psoriasis. It tends to often will respond very well to UV. Thank you, Stuart, for the passionate boogers. Disney, you need an appointment to go. At least that part of the, yeah, I think that's fine if you need an appointment to go. Dr. Galley, you're saying, is saying that. Now that's Dr. Galley from the state of California, who predicted 6,000 hospitalized by today. Today, he said, guaranteed 6,000 hospitalized in the state of California. Instead, it's under 3,000. Under 3,000. We went down instead of going up. Now, in the current outbreak, I don't want to get too hubristic about that. In the current outbreak, we could go up. It's possible, but it's not. I'm not sure. We got to find out what happened in Los Angeles, because that sudden spike in LA, I'm not seeing anybody address. And let me see if they have come up with today's numbers yet. They have not. I will tell you the death rate, though, in LA continues down. The hospitalization rate continues flat. Yeah, it's flat. And I mean, so the cases are up. That does not mean people are getting sick even. So hard to know what to do with that. Nashville Middle School has been paused in terms of its return to 5 to 12, 5th to 12th grade. Why does the COVID affect the morbidly obese more? The thinking is that when you have a lot of fat here and you have the metabolic syndrome, this is a metabolic organ. The adipose in the central part of your body creates inflammatory cytokines that are already up all the time in your body. It's why your body doesn't like being obese. It's like being inflamed all the time, and that's what puts you at risk for all the other problems that obese folks get into. But when you add the virus and its inflammatory piece kicks in, it really just goes to town. Joshua, I have psoriasis too right now. It's dormant. I love it. People don't have it, don't understand it. I know it's a very frustrating problem. I'm happy with the LA Health Advisor. Is that the app, Andrew? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what it's called? Let me see if I because I have it, and I will tell you it essentially has not worked. Let's see. I don't see it. What was it called? Pat? Yeah, I don't know. Now I can't find it. I don't think I took it off my phone, but it has not given me any useful information yet. Not one piece. It asks me every day how I'm feeling, and it doesn't ask me if I've been tested. I've been tested so regularly, you would think they'd want. Or actually, they asked me for a test result, but I was having to download the actual test paperwork, which you never get. You get a call from a doctor, you get a call from a nurse. You never see the paperwork, or almost never. What is that? Huh. Well, I can't even find it now.
I'm even leaving.
I know. They keep
Such a
testing
waste
us.
of money.
It is a waste of money. I agree with you.
I guess if they heard you sneeze, they would.
Do I think the virus mutated to a milder version? I do not. I really don't. It's possible, but there's really no evidence of that yet. And what I think is happening is I think we know how to manage it much better. I think it's mostly younger and healthy people that are getting it. Not so. I think we've properly protected the at-risk population, and I'm betting that people that are not at risk are not as careful with protecting themselves, which makes sense to me.
You see the guy in Periscope?
Asking what?
Drew should be at top of the administration virus-free force, only reasonable one.
The state of California put their own
Dominic.
state of California put their own vaccine panel together, which is not nearly as qualified as the FDA and the CDC panels, the federal panels that are reviewing this. It's just so hubristic for the state of California to do that. Now, to want to have a team together that evaluates it as it comes in just because you want to be super diligent, I get it, but you're interfering with the practice of medicine in the meantime. Really makes me angry. All right, so here we go. I'm going through your questions here. Uh, have we discussed, Christina P and I, whether or not Fed Smoker would wear a mask? I don't think he would wear a mask. I don't think so. It would be bad times if he got COVID too. Stay positive. Thank you guys for that. I'm staying positive. I'm not panicking about this, and I don't think you should either. Now, the question is though, how much should we return to normalcy? That's the question. And if we do return to normalcy, it can't be normal as we think of it. There has to be some adjustments, right? My gravest concern is that most of the transmission occurs in the home while you're locked down. So what are we doing is my question. Why are we doing that to people? But I don't know. Oh, Andrew, you're asking about Jara Farrar? No, I'm sorry. No. The most disturbing thing she has done a horrible job with health messaging. She has done the opposite of what we know to be good health messaging. She has been dour and dire and threatening and made it seem like the end of the world every day, as opposed to narratives, humor, optimism, which is what people listen to, what they want to hear. Yeah, Tiger Stipe said he'll lose his mind if we stay in lockdown for another year. So will everybody. That's the point. So will everybody. So will I. Yeah, Andrew, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. It's an $800,000 a year job plus a crazy benefits, and it's ridiculous. Economic mental damage. Yes, you should be scared of that at least as much as you're fearful of the COVID itself, because we have made poor people poorer. We have made anguish worse. We have made domestic violence worse. We've increased everything. I was hearing somebody talk about healthcare. I forget it was the presidential debates or somewhere, and everyone's got to have access to healthcare. And I thought, in this country, you always do. There's always a county system. There's always something. The thing we don't have is access to mental health care. Almost nobody has that. And when you do get it, it's highly restricted. And that's what's killing people right now. And that is what should be on people's mind in the federal government. What happened to the Abbott COVID machine? It's still working. I think I had one in Glendale about 2 weeks ago. It's like a 10-minute PCR test. It was amazing. It was a full PCR, 40-time amplification, and I had my result in 10 minutes. Have I reached out to David Allen Greer? Many times, and I've tried to convince Adam to do the same. He will not, but I miss David and would happily reconnect with him any way possible. Okay, what was the medicine I said benzo withdrawal would give you hang on here. What was the medicine I said for benzo withdrawal that would give you, said it too late? You said it too fast. Medicines for benzodiazepine withdrawal. First of all, benzodiazepines should really never be used more than about 2 weeks. If they are, the long-acting and the Klonopin at the lowest dose possible. Know that there is withdrawal from anything anytime you stop something you've been on more than a couple of weeks of that class. And typically I use phenobarbital in the acute phase, and I use gabapentin and an array of other things, sometimes clonidine, things like that. But high dose of gabapentin, which is Neurontin, for the post-acute withdrawal. The background, Suzanne, is the vessel here at Hudson Yards, which we are in Hudson Yards right now. Yeah. We're going through a modern pandemic, just like in 1919. The course, I don't know it's hard. I don't know why I can't read because it's so small. Casey Gates, thank you for that on the Joe Rogan Experience. I would love to do that. Did you guys all listen to the Kanye interview? It was very good. It was very good. In fact, maybe you all can help me. He said one of the things he wants to do is build housing for the homeless, and I believe him when he says that. But he also said he makes good decisions when he has all the information, and I want to get to Kanye to flush out his understanding of homelessness. So if anybody can get me in touch with him or he with me, please do. I am anxious to sort of show him really the full picture of homelessness and see if he can come up with some interesting ideas. I happily collaborate with him. Happily. Yeah. Russ liked the interview. Was impressed. I've always known he's a substantial guy. He said something very interesting. He said, "Time is love." That was a brand new concept. I've never heard anybody say that before. It adds an interesting layer to Mr. Heidegger's assessments. New York is doing its own vaccine panel too. Yeah, I'd heard that, George, but a much less aggressive thing. It's just like they're going to have a review board, not no one's given the vaccine here till we say so. You see the difference? We want to review the review board in New York. I bet is already reviewing the material. That's a very different thing. That no one's allowed to give the vaccine until we say so. You see the difference? One is collaborative, one is helpful, the other is authoritarian and frankly like a camp, like we're in a work camp. All right, inmates love gabapentin. Yeah, Cheryl, there are addictive tendencies at the higher doses, though. Be careful. Uh, uh, Ask yourself how this is a natural virus from a blah blah blah. Small business owners are struggling. I know it makes me crazy. The highest quality go. I don't know what you're saying there. Do I think that perhaps the correlation between the early higher death rates and people getting larger doses of the virus from other people? Yeah, okay, that is another issue, Mop Bucket, that some have speculated that the amount of virus you're exposed to can affect the seriousness of the illness you get. Isn't that interesting? That I've been kind of ruminating about that. I don't know if I believe it's fully true, but it makes some sense to me. And again, lockdown will increase the amount of exposure to the virus because it's exposing you to the home. Yeah, the Bapus, he does ramble a bit, but that's the hypomania. That's all his energy and stuff. And he's very aware of it. He's aware of how he thinks that way. Tiger stripes, I'm not quite sure. A myth stoil on prehistory skeleton with a broken leg. That's interesting. Great, Zenjothropus. I'm glad we helped. That's the whole goal here, is to just try to calm down, look at this thing objectively, assess the data together, look at new ideas and new treatments. Tom Brady, gabapentin doesn't work for you. What are you using it for is the question. Yeah, and we're going into another surge, and I wouldn't call it a surge. And by the way, the most of the increases in states that have not had any outbreak yet, right? Now, there are a couple states where it's gone to a third tier, but most states are those that are just finally getting their outbreak. That's the majority of what's going on here. So, let's see if that spreads to some of the other states. That will be interesting. Or do we have some degree of herd something here? Do I think Tiger King is a good person? I don't think there were many good people in that whole documentary, frankly. Is it true that blood type O get the virus less? There was some early studies that showed that type A might be a little more susceptible, that type O might be a little more resistant. And there was a New England Journal article that showed 6 genes that, lo and behold, were also associated with blood types that did seem to be influencing the way people got the virus. So that observation seems to have been true, but not meaningfully so. So I wouldn't. Yes, I still take quercetin and the cocktail of vitamins, the vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, all that good stuff. I still do that. Would I consider low O2 sat? Anything below 90 is concerning. Anything below 90 and staying there is, of course, concerning. I assume you mean if you have COVID. It doesn't necessarily mean hospitalization, but it's something somebody have to watch very, very carefully. And frankly, if I had somebody with low SAT who was young and well, I'd put them on dexamethasone, Decadron. The older folks, I think I would probably bring them to the hospital. I've seen a lot of nasty cases too, a lot. And some of them really did respond to steroids before we were routinely using them. So, Uh, Sean, I don't know what you were being rude about, so sorry. I've already forgotten about it if you were being rude, whatever it might have been. Uh, if infected, you will have severe ailing of the bottom, I guess. Instead of being angry about staying home, shouldn't people adapt and learn to be happy? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. They're asking me about the Tiger King. So Susan's very proud of herself. We are when I get off quarantine, we're going to go to a Halloween party, and apparently I'm going to be.
It's not a party.
Don't shoot this. I'm going to be the Tiger King guy himself. No, don't make me put that on. Don't make me put that on.
Somebody asked if we did it.
What are the psychological effects of everyone wearing masks? We don't know. I don't expect them much, but for kids, you mentioned what about for kids? I think for kids, they'll remember this. It will feel scary and weird. They of course adapt to it, but kids need to be able to read faces. They're building their capacity. Yeah, Drew Exotica. That's very funny, Drew Exotic. But they're learning the ability to read faces as a way of building their emotional regulatory system. So we don't know what developmental effects are going to have on that. It's rather a concern.
Ask them how they like the backdrop.
There, multiple people have commented on
Do
it.
they like it?
Do you want me to keep this back top? Oh,
Is that from Fox?
no, I don't think so. No. Do you like the backdrop? Yes or no? I know. Why am I yawning? Because I slept poorly last night. Is it safe to get together with family for the holidays? Well, maybe not with the elderly folks, right? Maybe not. Depends how widespread the virus is in your area. I think that's what it boils down to. So definitely look into it.
Good yawning.
I now they're making me yawn. We're talking about it. I've been tired all day. No, I'm not. Frank, yes, your eyes smile too, but that's you got to understand. Children, we have a part of our brain called the somebody's going to help me. There's a part of the brain that reads faces, and it's extremely important in us understanding emotions and understanding ourselves. Literally, we see our own emotions reflected on the face of others. That's the tiny changes in our facial musculature. That is how no, not the amygdala. That is how we learn to understand our own emotions, connect to them, and regulate them. It's in the temporal lobe what I'm talking about. It is the fusiform gyrus. The fusiform gyrus.
They don't put that on.
The fusiform gyrus is something dedicated to faces, and yeah, fusiform gyrus.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's an area of the temporal lobe known as the fusiform gyrus, also known to cause prosopagnosia.
Prosopagnosia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, fusiform gyrus is about the face. Yes, thank you. Who got it? Tiger Stripes got it. Fusiform gyrus. Look it up if you have questions about it. It's a lot of people are a lot of research poured into that area. Flu versus COVID. How will we tell in this upcoming season? We test for COVID. That's how. And if you don't have COVID, I don't know if we'll be testing for flu. It'll be interesting. The really interesting thing is how will we know flu versus other, febrile illnesses? Does wearing medical gloves offer any benefit? I mean, if it keeps your hands away from your face, maybe. And if you change them regularly, maybe. I'm not sure it's worth it, but it's not zero, the effect. Is that the part that was damaged? Is that the part that was damaged in the man who thought his wife was a hat? That was a little more of a global problem. That's a little different. The fusiform gyrus, it's more like the people lose the capacity to read emotions on other people. They don't see it, but they don't see when people are afraid, that sort of thing. And certain psychiatric conditions cause that. But they still, there's a syndrome. Oh shoot, Susan, you're going to help me again. There's a syndrome where people they think their loved ones are imposters, but that is not people confuse that with inability to read faces. You're going to tell me what that syndrome is. And this is more that the feeling attached to the person is gone, so you don't feel like it's that person. So it's more of an affect phenomenon rather than a fusiform gyrus.
Capricorn.
Capra syndrome, Capgras syndrome, Capgras,
Sorry, I didn't come up with before I got to it.
Capgras, where you think somebody's an imposter. You look like Susan, but you're not Susan. You must be an imposter because it doesn't feel like her essentially. Okay.
Like amnesia.
It's not. Thank you, Zach. You got it. Capgras. It's not like amnesia. It's not. It's sort of. In my experience, people that get it also get a lot. This is going to sound weird. Get a lot of deja vu. They'll complain. When people are really in the throes of those conditions, they'll say, "My husband was here," or somebody pretending to be my husband. And I just feel like you're just going to say that. Oh my God, I just had a deja vu. They have this feeling of deja vu repeatedly. Health Organization estimates that each year approximately 1 million people take their own life. That's one death every 40 seconds. Experts predicted numbers would peak in 2020, but no one could have imagined the devastation brought on by COVID-19. During the coronavirus pandemic, you may experience anxiety, sadness, and loneliness. Existing mental health conditions, including severe anxiety and major depression, may worsen. If you're feeling hopeless, contemplating self-harm, or you're concerned about someone else, I'm here to tell you there is hope. A Mission for Micheal is dedicated to helping clients achieve complete inner and outer transformation. Mission for Micheal is the premier resource for intensive mental health treatment in Southern California. With an astonishing 2-to-1 client-to-staff ratio, each client in their facility receives individual care 24 hours a day, overseen by a team of all doctorate or master's level clinicians. With a focus on evidence-based treatment, along with personalized and compassionate care, they offer mental health treatment that can change lives. If you're suffering from mental illness or you're concerned about a loved one, go to...
And we're back at the Dose of Dr. Drew.
We are back, but we are having extraordinary technical problems. We are on the road, and Susan's computer, when she plugs it into the camera, the battery drains out in about 5 minutes. And that's when you see the thing freeze and all kinds of weird things happen over here. So she called Apple. She spent the last 2 hours restoring and refurbishing and doing all kinds of stuff with her battery. And we're in the same exact situation. What if, Susan, what if you tried that one over there just to see?
That is just the camera.
No. Take that charger, plug it in over there, and see if it makes any difference. Just to try.
That's pretty good.
Just to try.
The
The new one is the one that I thought is screwed up. It did something weird to my computer too. So sorry about this, but thus here we are. So we're trying to slip in post Sunday Night Football and pre-World Series. So thank you for. Casey, what's wrong with the sound? Just tell me what's wrong with the sound before we. You're all still here. That's great. Sound is good. Sound is not good. I know she didn't do it on purpose. Of course not. Of course not. Sound is fine. Okay, good. So where were we when we got interrupted so rudely a couple hours ago?
Well,
I
we were
can't
at
tell you that we are.
that.
Oh, I know. I just tweeted an interesting thing.
Oh, it's 11%, honey. You've only got
Okay, we got maybe
11%.
5 or 10 more minutes to go, guys. Unless this works. Did you use the new charger?
I just plugged it in.
Let's see.
I don't think it's gonna work. There's something wrong with the
All right,
battery.
we'll see. We'll see.
The battery on my computer is being
Oh,
weird.
we were talking about deja vu and jamais vu. Yeah. So there, most people know about deja vu, which is this feeling like, oh, I've seen that before. There's also a jamais vu. I should be familiar with that, and I've never seen it before, which is the same thing. It's all sort of glitches in our neuronal wiring. The deja vu particularly has been associated with seizure activities. What I was saying was Capgras syndrome, which where because your fusiform gyrus isn't working so well, you believe somebody you know well is an imposter. And more importantly, you can't feel any feeling about that person, and that's what gives you that imposter feeling. And with the jamais vu and deja vu, same thing kind of happens where you feel like you've seen these things before. Yeah. Steve, work on your French spelling. Okay.
Oh, okay, Professor Drew. Jeez.
The crackling with the sound. Yeah, which I was hearing earlier too.
What?
There's
Too high?
crackling.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I tweeted something very quick. Just I want to get out here with I think I mentioned to you last time that the head of the what?
Not draining. I'm
Okay.
sitting
The head of clinical director of the state of California promised us we'd have a 90% increase in cases by today. Instead, we've had a 10% decline. I thought it was 20%, but I guess it's 10%. Somebody noticed that and tweeted that today. I've just now retweeted it. And it's kind of weirdly on fire. I got so many likes and retweets from it. I was really surprised that people are kind of on to the fact that the government is grossly overstating things. Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of retweets and likes, and at about 100 and something, the Twitter kind of resets. So interesting. And so is this happening right now? Is that what's
That's fine.
okay, good. Okay, persecutory delusions really as common as they say. Paranoid delusions are very common, Mad Cow, very common. And paranoid thinking can even be part of a normal brain. It doesn't have to be delusional. Look at all the crazy conspiracy ideas that are out there. Yeah, Newsom has given us Thanksgiving rules. You can't again in New York. We think we've solved our problem. It's that charger. So the state of California just treats its citizens like prisoners. I don't know how else to say it. New York, I mean, I'm a fan of Cuomo's. I think he's been excessive, but he's been deliberate and he's been collaborative and he's been encouraging and he's doing things that I think are unnecessary. But hey, I'm not the governor of New York. You know what I'm saying? That I'm good for him. Steve, thank you for the local shout out. So yeah, one of the things we're going to do is go to drdrew.locals.com and pick up the long form questions you leave there and kind of bring them here for the streams as well. Ms. Kaylee, I've been in California forever. It's the government that I can't stand. I drive down the street. Yeah, Susan says hi, Miss Kaylee.
Nils.
How's the what?
Nils.
I don't know if Nils is on the thread.
Niles.
Miles. But it was Miles. That's right, it was Miles. But that wasn't Kaylee. That was Kelly Gallagher.
It was Kelly Gallagher.
Right. Oh, my brain. So the state of California, I walk outside and all I see is people dying of drug addiction on the streets and no willingness. You know what I found fascinating? I asked you guys this a couple hours ago, was Kanye saying he wants to really do something about homelessness. And he talked about at the Joe Rogan interview how if he's able to understand or have a complete picture of a problem, he tends to make good judgments on how to solve. I would like to round out his understanding of our homeless issue. And please, if anybody can get me in touch with Kanye, contact at drdrew.com. Please send me contact there. Somebody's, oh, Kaylee, that is very funny. She got her dopamine hit from Nils today. Jericho, you're wanting a shout out. Everybody wants shout outs today. Yeah, Lori, housing first is just I mean, how much more can it fail? How much more profoundly can it fail than this clinging to that thing? No, Sarah, I don't think Kanye is nuts. I think he has bipolar disorder. I think it's treated. I think he's like I explained a couple hours ago, he's hypomanic, as many successful people are. very common. I mean, my wife's been stuck in a room with me for the last 4 days. Am I a little hypomanic? Oh, I'm going to ask that question again on camera because if pictures could say a million words.
Oh, come on. I didn't say anything.
Go ahead.
Fine.
I don't listen. I think I'm cyclothymic, and I think I sometimes get spun up, and whether that's anxiety or hypomania or whatever. What's that?
Tell everybody why you had a runny nose.
I had a runny nose because I went out in the cold and rode a bike because I couldn't sit in here. I could not sit in here. B World, I wouldn't say Kanye's irrational. He's creative and bigger than life, and some of it. If he were on the street and s out of luck, that would be irrational. But what he's saying and thinking about, it connects to his reality. I mean, he's got $5 billion to do something with. Well, Miss Kaylee, I'm going to try to do something about what's going on there. So, all right. So the crazy thing in Los Angeles, if you remember, I said there was a sudden spike of 2,000 cases that literally the 2,000 or 3,000 cases that suddenly showed up in Los Angeles for 2 days, literally doubled the daily case rate in the state of California. I'm looking right now at the LA County data, and they're back at 830. So what happened for those 2 days? Was it the Armenian demonstration? Was it the Lakers? Where were these people? If you can figure anything out, please, again, contact at drdrew.com. I'm going to right now update the California data. And yes, we've got the 25th on here. And of course, it's back down again. It's not down that low. I mean, we were just sitting at 3,000 for weeks. And all of a sudden, 6,000, and then 5,800. And now, what is the number? 5,200. So something was happening. Orange County kind of...
Blame it on the Armos.
No, I'm not blaming it on the Armos. I'm just... I'm saying that...
I love my Armos.
Hey, again, look, did you guys see what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now? There were tens of thousands of people on the mall singing, no masks, everybody shoulder to shoulder. That is going to spread COVID. Now, if we're cool with that, then let's move on. But let's not be surprised when there's a little tick up when people return home. Backlog of cases, Denise. Thank you. That's kind of what I was thinking it was. Because God knows the state officials would have made a gigantic deal of the whole thing. And of course they did not, so good. It's apparently LA Times is saying there was a backlog of cases, which has happened before in LA County, and that makes sense to me. Okay, so there's that. How long nausea when starting propranolol should last? You might just get the dose down. Some people really, you're taking it for panic and that sort of thing, which is a harmless medicine for that. And you could take like 10 milligrams, see if that works. And the nausea, maybe if you're up towards 40 or 80, maybe the dose is the issue. But if at 10 you're still getting nauseated, that's an unusual symptom. You're probably going to keep getting it. Okay. So I've been pulling through some data about the so-called psychological, psychiatric impact of COVID-19. I came upon a really interesting study on crisis fatigue. And this was a Psychology Today article by Brad Russell. This is a Harvard Medical School researcher who broke crisis fatigue into 4 stages. It's kind of interesting. Listen to this. Heroic stage, individuals band together on the onset, right? We're going to get this together. Honeymoon stage, the reaction to the initial success, when individuals feel they are in the same boat, so there's sort of a communal understanding. Disillusionment, individuals begin to feel physically and emotionally exhausted. Cue the onset of the allostatic overload. You mean that our autonomic system has been churned up for too long. And then fatigue stage. By design, the human body cannot sustain higher levels of cortisol and adrenal output. So we're in it. We're in this exhaustion phase, this fatigue phase, and it is associated with serious mental illness and decompensation of serious mental illness. So I'm telling you, it is about time we have people really looking at this. And then if you look at the data, average share of adults reporting symptoms, anxiety, depressive disorder during COVID-19, this is in the spring. The average weekly data, 40% are showing anxiety and depressive disorder as of July. That is crazy. So it's, let's see, 40%. Oh my gosh. So it's looking at this data. It's 28% depression, 35% anxiety, 40% both. It's and then the risk of the suicide has just gone through the roof. And again, a lot of the data is not even caught up yet. A lot of the data is from the springtime. So as we get more data, this is going to get more and more severe. As I said, 4 times the deaths in San Francisco just from drug use as compared to COVID. Is that how you want this? Oop.
More this
Okay,
way.
she wants me looking.
So you're not looking over your right shoulder.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yes, McDonald's Farmer, the supportive living and residential wraparound services are the key. That is what's needed. Ontario has the highest daily numbers ever. Is that Ontario, Canada? Let me know. I heard Canada was going up. Dark Horse, Eric Anderson, you're talking about the Weinstein podcast. Is that what you're talking about? My daughter is in California, so stressed, I can't comfort her. Rebecca, I'm not surprised. Get her out of California if you can. I mean, there's a just coming to look. I'm in New York City. New York City has had a massive problem. We're locked down here for the most part, and it's more collegial. It's the only way I can describe it. It's more like we're citizens and we're all in this together kind of thing again, as opposed to a external authority has to crush us. I mean, 100,000 jobs associated with Disneyland, and an unwilling to even to talk to the people that could bring back tens of thousands of those jobs online. It's too much. Yeah, Eric, I did glance through the Douglas Murray interview. I've heard him talk to, I think, Rogan before. Okay. Lester. So I'm making your anxiety worse by talking about COVID. I would like to make it less, if that's what you're saying. Let's see. Curious. Oh, I didn't really listen to it carefully, Eric. Okay, so I want to say it again. I'm going to say what I said earlier, which is that we are heading into a case-demic for sure. There's going to be an increase. We all see that coming. I want to remind you that we've been through this before, right? Just this last summer, we had lots of cases. And how did we do? We did pretty good, right? We were able to get it under control. The death rate did not go spiraling up. In fact, it stayed down. Hospitalization rate went up a bit, but the death rate, if you look, I'm looking now at the US full range, the death rate didn't even reach half of the initial part of the epidemic. Now it's down another half from there. So let's see if it's able to kind of hang in at these same levels, even if we see increased hospitalization. My suspicion is we're going to see a lot more cases. Again, looking around the country at the data, what you're seeing is mostly places where there have been gatherings, whether it's, celebrating a Lakers win or whatever, gatherings or states that have never had an outbreak. Is that the scratchiness, you think? Okay, let's see if we can, or maybe it's, yeah. So maybe it's at the other end here. No? So again, I think you're going to see the press start to make a lot of the cases. I think, again, it's going to be young people. It's going to be people that don't get that sick. It's going to be, and there are going to be a lot of us, and maybe I'll be one of them. We'll see. Unfortunately, hospitalizations will go up. The question is, will they go up to the 60,000 level that we were at in July and in May? My suspicion is probably so, because we are much more likely to bring people into the hospital and treat them. While in the early part of the pandemic, we kept people out of the hospital so they didn't expose people, and we didn't have much to offer. Now we've got a lot to offer, and theoretically, there may be a vaccine coming pretty soon. So we may not even get very far through this little episode before the vaccine starts getting circulated around. It certainly will motivate a lot of us to take that vaccine, won't it? My bet is right now the daily death rate is still, it's an unfortunate number. It's still 900 a day. I mean, but we're a huge country. And my bet is it does not go up to where it was, which was 1,400 a day. 1,500 a day. That was in August, September. And in April, May, June, it was 2,500 a day. So we're doing a lot better. And we should just reassure ourselves that it's still 99% probability of survival. Even with multiple risk factors, it's still 90% probability of survival. Do I think we'll see civil unrest? I don't know. I don't know what to think about any of that. Will we be able to distinguish between flu spike and COVID? I do, because we're doing such widespread testing for COVID. Joshua Bradley, I'm not sure what you're meaning by that. If you could clarify that. Everyone feeling okay about masks in spite of the controversy about them? I mean, I understand that there's, you could argue that, like I said, everyone who gets COVID, 85% of people wear masks religiously. Most of the transmission occurs in the home where we don't wear the masks. But let's think about it this way. At least if you walked around asymptomatic, you would be protecting some people. You wouldn't have to feel bad that you were out there spreading it all over the place. So, okay. COPD, BMI 29. Yeah, I mean, you're getting up there. I'm going back up to your thread here to see if I can find anything while I was pontificating. Yeah, so Anthony, you're saying maybe the language is the problem. Stop calling it cases, illnesses, hospitalizations. Yeah, we should be only talking about excess deaths and hospitalizations, really. That's probably all we should talk about. But of course, we've gotten obsessed with other kinds of numbers. I noticed my nose is no longer filled up. It takes a little while for it to settle down. Ted, who's head of virology at Roche? I'm not seeing the thread on that. Interesting study from University of Washington, alcohol use as compensation during this, saying 1 in 4 adults changed habit as stay-at-home orders came down. I'm not quite sure. You're saying it's getting better, the alcohol use, or the alcohol use was a means of trying to manage being in lockdown? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yes, I'm seeing Ontario, Canada. All right. You want me to look at Poland? I will do that. Susan, you can't do that, can you, from where you are? No.
What?
It's okay. It's all right.
Wait, so what?
They want me to look up Poland data, and that is
I don't
hard.
have much of the computer.
Okay.
Last time I was doing that, that's when it all aligned.
Let me see if I can find it here. POLAND. No results. COVID tracking. Doesn't look like I can come up with it. I'm sorry. They do have other countries on other platforms. I'm just not finding it here, so sorry about that.
The computer has a heartbeat. Don't let me.
Yeah, what's it doing? How's it doing?
It's got a heartbeat.
All right, good. It's got power.
Yeah.
People are using more according to the study. Yeah, they sure are. And we're seeing it all over the place, like really bad. And people are dying of the using, not just using and getting sick, like dying. So I've seen the Danish mask study. Please may you post a link to it? A question from Sarah. I've not seen the Danish mask study. I've seen lots of conflicting mask studies. Ever since that original MIT study about the droplet carriage, I don't want my droplets going to somebody else. I don't care so much about protecting myself. I don't want to be the asymptomatic carrier that infects other people. And so that's my reason for wearing masks. Josh, MRSA in his bones. That's really hard to treat, really hard. And it sometimes requires like indefinite antibiotics. Using, no, be world, I don't mean using a Danish for a mask. I mean Danish mask study, not meaning a bear claw for a mask. Very funny. Well, we have, Susan, do you want to talk about what Dr. Zelenko's got coming?
Yeah, I was just gonna. What? Can you read my mind?
I can.
So this is my Sunday morning.
Okay, so yeah,
8 a.m. Eastern
at
time.
5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern, Dr. Zelenko tweeted Susan this morning. Here it is.
He
Texted you, I beg your pardon. Hi, my study passed peer review and will be published in the International Journal of Antimicrobial Agents. It's a pretty good study, pretty good journal. Would you be able to help me share it all over? I will send you a link soon.
Yeah,
so we will be interviewing him on Wednesday.
Scott Adams said it doesn't matter. It's not good enough.
Because it's not see, did you send it to Scott? So she sent it to Scott Adams and he said it's not a randomized control study, therefore it's not good enough.
So,
and he has a point. He has a point.
Give the guy credit. He's still.
It's what you call an observational study, and let's see what the peer review brought, and let's see what when you write a study, you also write your shortcomings at the end of the study, and let's see what his shortcomings are, and see. I'm sure the peer review made him really be diligent with that, so we'll see what he says at the end of the study. I'll read it.
Gives him a little bit of reason to keep pushing.
B World, you mean Scott's an economist? Yeah. Well, he. What's the matter? Uh-oh.
That wasn't the complaint.
Should I feel comfortable dining indoor in New York City? I just came from a restaurant. George, I ate indoor before my quarantine started on Thursday. I ate indoor on Wednesday night. It was well ventilated, distanced. I don't see any problem with that. I really don't.
People there.
Yeah, but there were people around. Uh-oh.
Outside.
Sarah.
They were outside.
What did
They were
Andrew
inside in the
ask?
corner
Andrew.
with nobody.
They can't publish it because 3 major medical journals rejected it. That's the Danish mass study, Andrew. How'd you know that? That's interesting. Arizona Health Science developed one of the most accurate COVID antibody tests available. Now have shown antibodies persist for months after infection, providing long-term immunity. So, Christopher, that does not surprise me. Pretty much everybody agrees you get 4 to 6 months of immunity. The question is what happens after that. And that's this Additics company I'm working for. They're going to have a lab profile, a way of assessing immunity in January. I'm going to have more details about it in a couple of weeks. I'll be sure to talk to you about it here. I'll send you all the science. It's essentially a way of measuring memory B cells, so what B cells are ready to go with the virus, and what your T cell immunity is, what the constellation of helper cells are ready to go. Yes, I'm in New York now. I am probably, Brandon, good. They haven't told me where I'm filming, but we have always filmed at the MTV headquarters in Times Square. And that will be my first visit to Times Square in the
I want to go.
in the COVID.
Just walk
You'll have
up
to
there.
get up at like 6 in the morning with me.
No, I'll go later.
Okay, good.
I'm not going to go to the set, but I want to go to
All
the
right.
time.
What are we going to talk about when COVID is less of a factor? Well, I'm going to talk about homelessness, and then we're going to talk about drug addiction because those problems have skyrocketed because of all this. So there we go.
Regulation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you'll get a new show and I won't have to do this anymore.
Chelated magnesium and N-acetylcysteine for OCD. Is that for OCD? I've never heard of that. Listen. Wait a minute. Where'd that go? Okay. For OCD, for picking syndrome. Listen, you go to IOCDF.org, the International Obsessive Compulsive Disorder Federation, IOCDF.org, and you talk to them about it. They have great resources. They're up on everything. What's going on behind me?
We're walking the vessel.
Oh, wow. Fever for 5 days, Anastasia. Tested negative this weekend, home for 9 weeks. Ooh, yeah, your husband had it. I mean, yes, you should get another test and get a PCR for sure. You must have it. I mean, come on. Thinking about moving to Florida from Texas, wide open and looking good. Yeah, let me look at that data because Florida has been open for a few weeks and they opened everything, not willy-nilly. They've opened safely, like Disneyland has certain guidelines. And let me look at the Florida numbers. And what you see is Florida is flat or down. Well, even Florida has it's flat or down as far as hospital and death rate, but it's had a little spiky going on. Looks a little like California, weirdly, where it was solidly at 2,500 to 3,000, and then boom, all of a sudden 5,000, 7,000. So we'll see what that means. It's still nowhere near its peak at 14,000 where they were back in July. Interesting, very interesting to watch. Let's look at Georgia too, because Georgia's sort of been open and people keep asking about it. Georgia's down. Hospital down, death rate turning up with cases, but not by a large number. And their graphs kind of look like California. Good. There are less anxiety, less depression. Can you get just the fever, fatigue, and brain fog from COVID and no other symptoms. Daryl, you can get no symptoms. You can get just the lack of taste and smell. You can get just body aches. You can get just diarrhea. You can get just cough. You can get any combination of those things, with or without fever. It's a very protean illness. Lots of different manifestations. Most people, little fever, little body aches, some cough, 3 to 5 days, and that's about it. Most young people not at risk. All right, Sherry. I am 61. My husband is 76. We want to see our family, 2 adults and 2 children, for Christmas. Have a normal day. It will be indoors. It will be eating together. Thoughts? Sherry, obviously people you're going to see are not at any significant risk. It is your husband we have to worry about. Anybody over 75 that I've seen with COVID, it's gone touchy, or if not terrible. So he would have to, it's up to him. At 76, he's a male. He's not going to, the probability of dying 81 to 83 is sort of he may live to 85. But do you want to take away one of his last remaining Christmases for a risk of a possible catching something that no one in the household likely has? Maybe you can get everybody tested before he comes and quarantine them for 3 days or 5 days before he shows up. You could do that, certainly. Fever, cold, cough without test is COVID until proven otherwise. Brandon, I agree with that. Yes, some instant tests are coming out soon. Probably by Christmas, you might have some instant tests. Who used to do Weekend Update on SNL, guys? What happened? Who's the Canadian?
Who's a Canadian?
Yeah.
Um,
Is he talking about
the guy from
Colin?
Austin Powers.
No, he's talking about, well, maybe Mike Myers. Yeah. Anyway, my mother-in-law, limited English, wants my insights in Poland right now. Their media is doing panic porn. What's your thoughts? Norm Macdonald. Norm is great. What's up with Norm?
Norm Macdonald, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he
So,
okay?
I don't know. Hey, Andrew, is there somewhere I can go to get Polish data? I don't know what the data is there. Somebody's begging for Polish data. How can Newsom just give out 47 fracking permits in California and we have no say about it? Fracking.
What's a frac?
It's getting oil out of the ground.
Oh, I thought it meant it was effing.
No, fracking is what there was some controversy on that. Kevin Nealon. What about Kevin Nealon?
Those are all Canadians who have
I don't think Kevin Nealon's Canadian. Okay, so I'm having to. All right, what is the data in Poland?
Computer's still charging. Is it gone?
Good.
I can see the
Okay. Okay, let me see.
I keep seeing Norm Macdonald. What about him? What was the original question about?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Is he okay?
Yeah, I hope he's okay. All right. This seems to be updated data from Poland. Ooh, wow. Poland has shot up very quickly. Let's see where they were. They were such a low level. I mean, the entire country was having like 500 new cases a day. Now they are at 13,000. Think about that. That is pretty astonishing. Let's see when that started. That started in September. So yeah, Poland has a rather astonishing epidemiology curve. And unfortunately, the death is following hand in glove with that. There are 153 cases a day, which is not that high, but it's still accelerating as the new infections are accelerating. All I can tell you guys is if we look like that, I would not be happy. That to me would be a scary looking situation. It would mean if we'd been doing nothing up to that point and we just started doing something, I think that would really flatten out the curve. Here's Christopher giving me more on Poland. Let's see what this is. Yeah, I was hoping for a graph. Let me see if I can find it. See, their numbers aren't that high. They're just accelerating. There it is. I would not be happy with that. I would not be happy if that were us. I would think we'd have to do something. Now, do we have to lock down? Well, I mean, this is a less dramatic graph I'm looking at. Now, what was I looking at? This is a similar graph, though. I mean, now they're at, oh, this is total cases. I see. This is not daily cases.
Are you looking at Poland?
Here's the daily cases. Yeah, I'm looking at Poland. So yeah, here we go. There's the graph I was looking at before. And so now daily cases are up around 13,000. 1 month ago, they were around 500. So that's a dramatic thing. Now,
Wait, I'm looking at a chart that says Poland, coronavirus cases, 250,000.
Here,
Deaths, 448,000.
no. Here's the here's the graph. Here's the graph.
Recovered,
There's the graph.
112,000. What happened to the other 100,000?
This is the graph. There it is. That's what's happening right now.
These
Okay.
graphs are stupid.
No.
That doesn't make sense. Deaths, corona cases.
I don't know what you're reading, but I've looked at it and I'm telling you, they need to do something. Now, do they need to lock down? I hope
I'll
not.
show you.
I hope not. I don't want to read a
Somebody else gave this.
express a spreadsheet or something.
No, this is what I'm.
So Sarah, high source of transmissibility is in the home. That's right. So why lock people down? So if I were in Poland, my question would be: is if people have been wearing masks? If not, first thing, everybody wears masks. Everybody social distance. Maybe no bars are open. Just do the things that we know work without making people shelter in place. That was the shelter in place order was the most onerous, damaging thing that our government could do. It was spiritually depleting. It's why we've lost our fight. We've got to be fighting this thing. We got to learn to live with it. We got to fight it. We got to deal with it when it comes. We got to be responsible about it. And this passivity of holding in place as though there's a nuclear weapon coming our way, just prepare yourself. That is extremely dysfunctional. Extremely.
Okay. I just put up something. It says somebody gave us this link. It says Poland. Coronavirus cases 250,688. Deaths 4,438. Recovered 112,619. The numbers don't add up.
So
I've seen that before, and it's kind of really annoying.
okay, so Christopher says 85-year-old Polish relative, health problems. Be very careful with that person. People wear masks, but no lockdowns and lots of protests. So the protests, we know that the gatherings are spreading things. So there you go.
My family's Czech. This is not. But why do those numbers not add up?
Okay, I'll stop the thread. Let me look at them. Let me look at them. I'll look at them. Okay. I can't conceptualize it just hearing it. I have to look at it. Okay. Active cases are Andrew's looking at the same thing. He said if you scroll down, you see active cases, but I'll look at that. Ooh, mom's cousin ran someone's bike over. I'm sorry. It's awful. Okay. Yeah, David Katz is somebody who's been recommended to us a couple times, Susan. We ought to really look into that. He's a Yale epidemiologist. Okay. 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 And you just sent me.
Just trying to make sure the computer doesn't shut.
How's it doing? Where are we at?
Fine, it went up.
Yeah.
We're growing in numbers.
It's that. Ugh.
I know.
That's what needs to go back to Apple.
I called Apple.
Faulty. So you emailed that to me? Oh.
I texted it.
Oh. All right. So here we go. It's not.
Emails are not my thing.
Texts are not my thing. It's not coming though.
That's why we get along so.
This is your chocolate and my peanut butter. We could keep going on that. Susan, you're a goddess. Here in the UK, cash is on by Christmas. We're all on tier 3 here in the UK again. All bars and eats closed again, just delivery. Yeah, I heard that. Well, though I talked to somebody a couple days ago that said primarily you can go to school, you can go to work. When they shut us down, they prevent us from doing anything. So you can go to school, you can go to work. They just don't want you out at night, essentially. Susan, I don't think that went through.
Texted him.
Yeah. More Susan is a goddess on the thread. Are you watching the thread? Are you watching it?
No, I'm trying to change the picture. Isn't that a cool shot of the vessel? I know Drew can't see it, but
My favorite thing is people go, "Who's that lady? Who's that lady talking?"
I know. Who's that bitch in the background? Shut her up. Shut her up.
Oh my goodness. All Toronto restaurants outdoors. Same thing here in New York and California. I worry about the winter. How's that going to work, right? Likelihood of unrest after the rush. I don't want to even put that in the universe, my dear. I just don't even want to. I don't want to give it any power, as Susan would say.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I don't. Thankfully, I don't have a strong opinion about it. So
Give it energy.
Iowa's been open for 5 months. Why are we spiking now? I wonder. Well, first of all, Iowa never really had an outbreak. Now, if I remember right, they were sort of way down. And I wonder if you had any of the fallout from the Sturgis thing. A lot of Midwestern police folks went back home and into the Midwest and brought things from the Sturgis gathering. Wherever there are large gatherings, there's transmission. It's just the way it is. That's okay. We don't. I mean, if I were president, I go. You want to gather? Good. There will be transmission. That's it. I would urge you to not gather and wear masks. But if you want to, well, it's going to transmit. There you go. Thank you, Christopher. I see what she's saying. We thank you for that. It's they need to do something there. They need to stop the protests, right? They need to stop. That seems to be the problem there.
Let's keep touring the vessel.
Is that what we're doing? Thoughts on people surviving the disease? It's not a monster disease in most people. Don't call it a monster disease. Don't think of it that way. That have pre-existing conditions, high blood pressure and overweight. The meter never gives info of people surviving with pre-existing conditions. I would say there's nothing about, look, the only thing that pre-existing conditions do is make it a little more, let's not call it pre-existing. That got mixed up in the debates. We're not talking about pre-existing conditions. We're talking about risks, specific risk factors for complications of COVID, and the acute complications. The long-term complications, we don't know who they are. We don't know who that group is or why they get it. I would say that most of the long-termers I've dealt with did not particularly have risk factors. They were maybe the weight, maybe, but certainly not hypertensive, not hypercholesterolemic. I've talked to a number of them. A lot of them had persistent pulmonary problems. A lot of them had persistent fatigue, much like Epstein-Barr, if you remember that whole thing. So it's not about pre-existing conditions. It's about risk factors for complications acutely, and that is it's metabolic syndrome, obesity, central obesity, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, insulin resistance is a key piece of this, and antiphospholipid syndrome. If you have that, that's a way risky part of it. Again, these are all inflammatory conditions. So having pre-existing inflammatory disorders, not rheumatic disorders, so not psoriasis, not psoriatic arthritis, not rheumatoid arthritis, in cytokine activation, which it appears that's one of the major risk factors of this metabolic syndrome. So I think we need to talk to Dr. Yo again too and update everybody on that stuff. Ooh, solace. It's been hell in the French Quarter in New Orleans. Livelihoods literally depend on restaurants, bars. People are back out. Definitely worried we're going to shut down again. Yeah, if bars are, I wish I could defend bars, but here's the problem with bars. Here's the problem, guys. Because we opened restaurants and bars in California during the summer. Was it during the summer? And we had a big outbreak. It was during the spring. We had a big outbreak response. And we went out to a couple bars and found ourselves very uncomfortable because people are doing a couple things. There's music playing. So there's loud talking at each other. You've been drinking, and so people lose their usual sense of body distances and get right in your face. They're kind of more apt to come up to you than if they've not been drinking. So there's more contact, more close, loud talking over music. And why are you going to go to a bar if you can't socialize, right? So then we're just talking about a restaurant anyway. So I wish I could come to the defense of the bars. I'm not sure I can. Maybe somebody can figure something out. I mean, if you could have people enter the bar with a riot shield or something, and you walk around, you can still socialize with that. I don't know.
Plastic masks you can wear.
I guess.
I mean, we could all do that. And they're young people, so they're not going to die from it, right?
Ryan, you want thoughts on? I thought all the propositions were way out of line, except maybe 22. California is losing it. Uh, Thailand banned alcohol at the start of this. That was interesting to think about. That is interesting. We would never do that. Notice how we allowed the two essential services we allowed in California: liquor stores, cannabis shops. Perfect. Really well done. Who is Dr. Andrew Bostom? I don't know who that is. Okay.
A really good shot, by the way. Look at behind you. That's a really good shot for a box.
That's more Hudson Yards. Okay, I think yeah, I think we ought to return to the World Series. That's probably what we should be doing. How about that? How about that World Series? Did anybody see did you guys see the World Series last night? It was unbelievable what happened. It was really something. So if anybody saw
we were so close, but
I had a feeling something crazy was going to happen. I could just I don't know.
I know.
I certainly could see that
That was crazy. Just two errors, like two errors.
well, not just two errors, and the base runner fell down, and they still didn't get him. Okay, depersonalization. Oh, really interesting. This is Drew Shoup. I've had depersonalization, derealization for 6 years from an edible weed panic attack. It's chronic. What can I do to ease the feeling of it? What else can I do besides the Zoloft? Doesn't seem to do much anymore. No doctor has understood or helped. I need your help. Drew, I've seen this. I've seen intractable panic and depersonalization from cannabis, strangely, like 3 or 4 exposure, and all of a sudden these overwhelming panic attacks. So here's what I suggest you do. It is primarily panic and anxiety. That's your primary issue. The depersonalization that's all panic. I suspect. If again, I'm not examining you, I don't know for sure, but given my experience with all this stuff, and it tends to overlap with obsessive compulsive disorder. People with this thing also have a lot of OCD stuff. You might remember earlier I gave out the IOCDF.org, International Obsessive Compulsive Disorder Federation. I believe they have some anxiety resources there. You might check out a book called Dare by McDonough. But you need to get somebody who does exposure therapy with the anxiety. Exposure therapy to try to get the wiring to sort of sync up again. You got essentially the way I think of it very simplistically is a circuit opened. You need to bring in new wires that sort of shunt it off elsewhere, and that takes some work. So I would urge you to do that. I don't know where you are. If you're at, say, in Los Angeles, UCLA has a big program on this, but go to the IOCDF.org. Do I think HVAC makes a big difference? Andrew, email me again, please. I don't know that I sent that on to Susan, and I don't remember what I did with it. Yeah, we've been busy. Serious question, where to go? Concern, do you think we'll be scared to take off our masks once COVID is gone? No, I don't. And will children living through this grow up to be paranoid about germs? Possibly, or left with PTSD, more importantly. Very real question, physical consequences can a heartbreak have? There's something extremely real for me. Joshua, there is, I mean, obviously depression. People get severely depressed. And if you're not, if you're having trouble functioning and it's more than a month out, 6 months is the most you should have to deal with a real bad heartbreak. But if you're months out and still having trouble functioning, that is time to talk to somebody. And there is such a thing as a broken heart syndrome, which is essentially a sort of an overload of the autonomic system. People debate whether it can occur. It's rare, but the health consequences are usually more than anything else around depression. Mad cow, do men go through menopause? Men go through steady decline in their testosterone levels. They don't have a sudden turn off of their cycling the way women do. But we have our own hormonal changes with aging. And it's not such a bad idea to be on a little bit of testosterone replacement for men either. Do you remember which episode that was, Susan? We talked to Dr. Donovitz. Susan? Dr. Donovitz?
What about him?
What episode was that? Can I reference it in some way? Not really. Yeah, so BioTE, is that it? biotehealth.com.
It's also, yeah, so it's biotech.
Yes, people do ask me how I'm doing. Thank you for asking that. Any recommendations for lowering high cortisol levels? Well, like anything, Felicia, you need a diagnosis, like having a fever. Why are you having a fever? Why are you having high cortisol? What is that? Are you cushingoid? Or are you chronically, your autonomic system dysfunctional for some reason? And what would that be? So we really have to pay attention. Pay attention. Can you get herpes without sex? Yeah, I mean, it can get on your hand. It can be transmitted a lot of different ways. Yeah. Okay, thanks,
got a
Andrew.
super chat.
I see that.
Three BJ's next week, Susan. Drew needs the devil juice. Squeeze dark bounty rays for the good of the world. Drew needs a clear head for the TikTok.
Okie Cuckoo's eye.
Thank you. Don't
Thank you,
worry,
Tactical
it's
Gary. Could okay, so Drew asking, could the depersonalization be a hormone issue? Or do you think it's wiring? It's wiring. Like I told you, I've seen this. I've seen it. It's wiring that somehow in genetically prone individuals gets opened by cannabis. It's kind of an unusual thing, but I've seen it a number of times, and I know exactly what you should be doing. So please, again, if you have what I think you have, which I don't know, but check out. You may want to look online for severe panic after cannabis, and you'll see there's a whole community out there that's been through this. So. How much brain damage can occur in a 24-hour bender? Depends how much. I've seen this my entire life and have dealt with this. My father, yeah. It's hard to permanently damage yourself in one 24-hour period, though people have. You can certainly take so much that you aspirate and die. But I don't, you can recover pretty quickly. It's the cumulative effect that is really the problem. 2 cops in Toronto, after raiding a cannabis store, ate cookies, climbed a tree, and called 911. Okay, that's the hallucinogen effect. So,
I think the Dodgers are ready.
Okay, yeah, we got to go see the Dodger game. So look, we appreciate you guys being here. Tomorrow, we will be back. Do we have a time approximately, Susan? Tomorrow's kind of a weird day for me. Can we do it 2 p.m., 3 p.m.? 2 p.m. would work for me.
It's 2.
Yeah, 2 p.m. We will see you at 2 o'clock Pacific tomorrow, which is kind of early. Yeah.
We have a COVID test at 6.
You're saying 5 o'clock?
5 Eastern.
Now, 5 o'clock, I've got something booked.
No, 5 Eastern.
5 Eastern is a meeting with the governor of North Dakota. So once I finish that, we'll do it. That'll be it'll be quick.
Wait, that wasn't in the schedule earlier.
Yeah, the dose, unfortunately, was at 2, it was on Pacific time, and so that's why that got.
Yeah, you gotta.
So we'll be like.
Get your time zone straight.
So we'll be like 5:30. We'll be like 2:30. There'll be like 3:30 Pacific.
We'll let everybody see you get your COVID test.
Yeah. We'll do a COVID test on camera. It'll be fun.
They're coming at 6.
Yeah. So we'll start about 5:30. The COVID test will be here at 6, which is 3 Pacific.
Wait, what's H3?
Does everybody want to explain what H3 is to Susan? Those of you that are familiar, let's.
So you have Drew. The schedule, it says 8 p.m. Governor, First Lady, and then it says dosing Dr.
See, you're on the wrong time zone, and
No,
you're.
I'm on the right time zone. You're on the wrong time zone. So H3 is at 6, which is that.
It's not. It's at 3. It's at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific.
No, it's a 6
Daryl, I
p.m.
do believe Jordan Peterson will be okay, but that
It's a 6 p.m.
I'm telling you when it is. It's at 3 o'clock Eastern.
We can't give anybody for tomorrow because you don't know what it is. Your schedule is weird.
H3, the podcast. Yes, B World, the podcast. Please explain to Susan.
Anyway, so I just want to let everybody know we have an asked on Wednesday. How come that's not showing up? Shit. Oh, come on. I'm going to get this figured out.
Okay.
Alright. That's weird. Okay. That's awkward. Okay,
What's that?
never mind. Okay, so we have an Ask Dr. Drew on Wednesday. We have a calling out with Susan Pinsky.
Oh, we're gonna do phone calls on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Okay.
yes. So we have a calling out with Susan Pinsky on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern.
Okay.
We have a Ask Dr. Drew, but for some reason the picture won't come out on Wednesday at, there it is, blank page, 2 p.m.
Okay.
Okay. And then just be sure that you check out the Adam and Drew show. Or you check out the, on Monday, we have Fox News.
Mrs. P, thank you for sending the voice.
Foxdeli.com/.
Thank you for sending the voice message to After Dark. I appreciate that very, very much. And Scott, thoughts on doctors overprescribing benzos? It's a massive problem. It's been getting a little better lately, but it's been an unbelievable problem. It's only paralleled or rivaled by the opiate epidemic. That's largely, the prescription opiate thing has settled down, thank God. Okay. So here's the description of H3. Ready? Ethan Edward Klein and Hyla Klein are American-Israeli husband and wife duo best known for YouTube channel H3 Production.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know. Listen, I'm not that savvy.
Me neither. Oh, how the Dodgers doing, Casey? Are they doing okay? Today?
Did our pitcher make a home run in the first inning? Anyway.
Okay. So we'll wrap things up. Thank you so much, and we will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to check out drdrew.locals.com.
If you want to ask a long question and get it answered.
Yes, and plus I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah,
we're trying to figure out what to do there.
Stop producing stuff that's not going to happen.
Well,
if people want to go to locals, it might be kind of fun for them.
Okay, locals, yes. And we'll bring questions back over here. I'm not still doing K-Rock killing evil donkeys. K-Rock is a whole different place now. Clown for 15 years. Oof.
Oh, here's what I got.
What's that?
Here's the banner. Ask Dr. Drew, that's Wednesday, 2 p.m. East, 5 Eastern. We had to change it, push it back an hour. So everybody needs to come an hour earlier. Okay, say goodbye. We're going to go watch
All right.
Dodger
baseball. We'll let you know. I'll tweet it out when we're going. So go Dodgers. Let's see what happens. According to SAMHSA's National Survey on Drug Use and Health, approximately 20.3 million people above the age 12 suffer from substance use disorder. Incredible. The disease of addiction takes an average of 130 Americans every day. Sadly, the opioid crisis, which many consider the worst pandemic of our time, has been even further perpetuated by the spread of COVID-19. Since the start of the coronavirus outbreak, drug overdoses have increased by 18%. Factors like economic stress and social isolation have led to increased depression and unnecessary deaths. A Better Life Recovery is a premier addiction treatment center in Southern California, offering one of the most highly regarded and comprehensive addiction treatment programs in the United States. Dedicated to helping its clients achieve complete inner and outer transformation, they offer a 45 to 90-day program custom tailored to meet the needs of each individual client. Long-term is the way to go. Many of A Better Life's clients elect to stay up to 9 months to receive additional support. A Better Life Recovery will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to ensure the success of every client. Are you ready for a better life? Go to abetterliferecovery.com or call 866-581-4401 now.